Sportscast, June 25th, 2020. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels, Periscope, iTunes. And if you're in iTunes, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. And of course, visit us on thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net for the latest in sports news. This episode is brought to you by Insta Bible app. You can download the Insta Bible app on the iOS App Store. The NFL counsels the Hall of Fame game in August, and also the enshrinement is postponed. It was reported this morning by Adam Schefter, NFL's greatest insider, that the preseason opening game hosted in Canton, Ohio, the Pro Football Hall of Fame on August 6th is being canceled, and the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony is being postponed. And to flesh things out, someone that is close to Chris Berman, Ryan Christa, welcome back to the Sportscast.
Santiago, is good to be here. Good to be on the Sportscast. Here as we approach the month of July. Yes, got wind this morning that the Hall of Fame game was canceled, which should be no shock. You know, it's kind of an extra preseason game.
But doesn't that show weakness from the NFL? Like, that's saying, well, that could cap into preseason games and possibly the regular season.
I think it's scary, I think, in the sense of what, well, I guess you'll see if they cancel any more preseason games. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they move preseason games to, definitely, make them close to the public for sure. And just kind of make them more like scrimmage, but it'll be good practice to see what type of protocols they're going to use for a regular season. But in terms of this preseason game, not a big deal. The enshrinement being postponed is sad for the people getting into the Hall of Fame, and for the city of Canton, which I know thrives on this weekend, and they do a great job putting on the show. But hopefully they'll pick a time where these players could get the recognition they deserve.
The Hall of Fame game was going to be featured between the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was going to be the preseason opener for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. It was going to be a good game, but these Hall of Fame games are not that exciting. A lot of these players played safe, not in the main stars play. But is this a big loss, or do you think it's just it's okay? We could just postpone it till next year.
It's actually one of the most anticipated games to watch players who will never play again. You wouldn't see Dak Prescott in this game. You probably wouldn't even see his backup in the game. It's usually the third and fourth stringers, who play majority of this game. Because it's an extra preseason game. It means the Cowboys and Steelers would play 5 preseason games where everybody else plays 4. Again, preseason games, you take it safe anyways. And you would take it very, very safe because you wouldn't even have much time to practice. So again, it's an added opportunity for those players trying to make a roster. But other than that, it's not a big loss. You remember that Santiago a couple years ago, you had the Hall of Fame game postponed, because of field conditions. So again, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, and like you were saying, this brings a opportunity for players to make a roster spot, but not just that, possibly a practice squad spot.
Yes, again, we're not talking about, but I think one thing you got to understand too. When we talk about baseball in a few minutes, we'll talk about the taxi squad. But I think I'm going to say NFL instituted a bigger practice squad for players this year because you're not just dealing with injuries, you're dealing with positive test results. For players, you got to have enough surplus players ready to go at a moment's notice.
Something to definitely look at. Ryan's not too sad about the Hall of Fame thing, but it kind of brings some red flags for me personally. Maybe not, but like I said, I don't care if the preseason season is canceled completely and we'll just start in September. I have been hearing a lot of close sources that NFL is going to start on time. They're not going to push this back to October or even November. They want to start on time, but I could definitely see a preseason.
Well, in regards to that, I think when a lot of times, you geared up for even NFL preseason in August because there's not a whole lot of else going on other than just baseball. But this fall, you got a lot of, you'll have the NHL, NBA going on, hopefully. So, we're not going to miss, this game or even preseason football in general is going to get, I think, lower ratings than normal because there's so many other important things going on.
something to definitely look at. NFL always, a couple of news this past couple of weeks, and that's one of the big ones. Of
NFL
course,
season never goes away, Santiago.
it never goes
Pandemic or not.
away. Other than that, Zeke Elliott got the coronavirus, but I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think we're gonna find a lot of people here soon. But
Yeah, we're gonna find a little bit more. Anyways, let's go to baseball. One of the biggest news of this week: the MLBPA agreed Tuesday to report to camps by July 1st for a 60-game season, and agreed with owners on health and health protocols for the season's restart. Ryan, I didn't see this day coming, but it came to pass.
I didn't either, but it was kind of forced and kind of awkward. They never really came to an agreement in the sense of, what they were talking about. Basically, what led to this is all the players are down in Florida or Arizona training at the facilities while they're waiting for an agreement. And all of a sudden, you got all these people testing positive in these facilities. So now they got to get a deal going because, if these players are hanging around there, they're going to catch the virus, so we'll get a deal done. We'll get them up to the cities, they're playing cities, and get them, in the stadiums practicing instead of down in Florida and Arizona, away from the training camp facility. So they're going to do their spring training 2.0, they're calling this, in their home cities rather than down in the spring training facilities. It's kind of like, you're taking a family picture of your relative you don't really like. This is, kind of, no one's happy. No one really got what they wanted, which was kind of what was leading up to it. But basically, the commissioner basically used the executive power and said, we're starting to, report on July 1st, 60 games, take it or leave it. That's it, and players, you're going to get the full salary for 60 games. So basically, the proposal they agreed on in March that the owners tried to, change, that's what they're going to go with. So,
yeah, and of course, the commissioner Renfrew definitely made some headlines. I didn't know his name, but he definitely made some headlines in the sports.
Yeah,
most people know his name by now.
Yeah, Rob Manfred. This was not his shining light. Nor was it Tony Clark for the PA for the players. Everybody took some, negative light, because this is the worst scenario when you've got billionaires and millionaires fighting, in the midst of this pandemic. So not a good look, where other sports like basketball and NHL were able to come together and relatively peaceful and get a deal done to restart the season. The difference in the NHL and NBA, they got most of their salaries already this year because they played 75% of the season already. Where the MLB, they're trying to recoup as much money as possible during the season. So it's a little bit of a different scenario, but there's always and will always be, angst between the owners and players in baseball. Forever, whatever reason, they've never been peaceful. And there's definitely
that's something that I think, which we've been talking about for the past few weeks, actually, that now we know which union is the most complicated one.
Yeah, I mean, I think baseball, the problem is that I don't think Tony Clark is a good union rep. For years, the players are led by a strong unitive force. But this year, I don't know. And I guess it's different circumstances, but I don't think the players were unified in their efforts, and definitely owners and Rob Manfred, they couldn't agree on what they wanted to get done. So when the sides aren't unified, it's not a good situation. But like you said, they got a deal going. It seems like the players are okay with it. But we don't know any of the safety protocols. They agreed on stuff, but nothing's really come out on what it's going to look like and what their bubble is going to look like. But I've been
hearing a lot of social distancing will happen, I heard, within the facilities. So that's something that is a positive thing.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely see that. You'll definitely see some sort of bubble when they're traveling, So what we do know, it's a 60-game season, 40 games against your division. So 10 games against each team in your division, and 20 games against one series against the 5 closest teams that from your proximity that aren't in your division. So that'll make up the 60 games. Season.
And which the season will start around July 24th. The last hurdle in agreement of health protocols was clear Tuesday night. So +3 months after spring training was okay. So All remaining issues have been resolved. Okay, so baseball, everyone, like the camps will be open on July 1st, then get back into playing July 24th. That would have put a damper towards the Korean Baseball League, wouldn't it?
It is gonna make the viewership go down. I don't think people are gonna be dying to getting up at 2:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning to watch Korean League baseball anymore. And I wouldn't be surprised if ESPN stopped showing because there's really no need to show it anymore.
Hey, it was a short-term contract, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think they just agreed to show up to 6 games a week. So, I mean, they still have the right for it. I'm not quite sure if it was a long-term deal or short-term deal for the season. But I guess it's positive for, baseball to get back. Are they going to be able to restore the public's
confidence, trust?
Yes. It was definitely damaged. Even though they got a deal done, I feel like it was 3 or 4 weeks too late. People are done. And again, you're going into the hornet's nest in a sense of going against NBA, and then eventually going into the start of the NFL season. So I don't know what it's gonna
and also golf.
Yeah,
golf will be in the mix in the fall. The fall's gonna be pretty packed with sports, not just
football, it's definitely we're used to just
and
having
baseball,
football.
but
Used to just having football and baseball, but and the MLS, but you'll have that still going on hopefully, when they restart the regular season there. But yeah, so fall's gonna be awesome if everything goes well. Santiago, there's still some.
It'll be pretty packed. Of course, but like MLB never discussed like the fans, how many people can enter, or is it pretty much be empty stadiums?
I think that's going to be known that there won't be any fans.
No hot dogs.
Yeah. I think that was just kind of like what they had to do. Get an agreement done. I mean, because you have different states. What Texas, as of right now, is letting 25% of stadiums in. And I think that was with the hopes to have fans in Houston and for the Texas Rangers. And hopefully, by time football season, hopefully it'll be 50% at least for the Cowboys and college football. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Let's head into the NBA. NBA hires Worldwide Wes as of he will be a advisor. He'll play the executive vice president / senior advisor. He has experience with consultant in the coaching division. What are your thoughts about this hire? Is this a fresher breath of air since Phil Jackson left?
The Knicks are going with a whole different way of doing things. Hopefully more of Leon Rose and Worldwide West and less of James Dolan, I think, is what the Knicks need. They need an imagery brand. For many years, the Knicks were the iconic team, especially in the Eastern Conference. You could play in Madison Square Garden. Everybody wanted to play them. But throughout the years, they've been becoming a laughing stock. Every time, they gear up, they make these roster adjustments to basically be able to sign these big free agents because they think they're the Knicks and that's going to sell. But what happened this free agency, Santiago? Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, where did they go?
Down Brooklyn Nets, across town. Cross river, but it was across town.
So I think, James Dolan understands he needs to take a lesser role. He needs a different voice in the organization. And that's why you go out and you hire a famous agent in Leon Rose and Worldwide West, and just different people who are kind of in this, I don't know the better word of saying cool in the terms of the NBA,
Yeah, bring back what New York used to be back in the 90s and 80s, 70s, even the early 2000s, where players wanted to go to New York. Has to bring some type of attraction. Of course, they have RJ Barrett. I think that's where they're going to build around him. But I really do see some promises with this team. But, proof is in the pudding, just like what I say.
Yes, first you got to hire a coach here, which I think they will in the next couple weeks, which will be interesting to see.
How about Mark Jackson? I've been thinking about this lately. Would he be a good fit?
I think that'd be great, Santiago. He is New York. He is Mr. New York.
He knows the organization.
Loves the organization. Just I don't know. When you think of New York City basketball, you think of Mark Jackson. Best point guard to come out of New York.
And
But in the sense of
maybe,
point guards,
if you want to come
Jason's
out
good.
like of that blacklist that Iguodala said about him, New York would be a good spot.
Yeah, it'll be great. I think he got an unfair rep in Golden State. He's the one who kind of built the foundation for the Warriors, and Steve Kerr kind of finished it off.
Yeah, he just came in that first year and won a championship. It's quite
But
impressive. Impressive, isn't it?
the little change of way they do things offensively, X's and O's wise. But I think Mark Jackson did a great job of building the confidence of Steph and Clay. Kind of building the framework of what the Warriors are today. So I think he isn't a bad coach. But I think I wouldn't be surprised I go another point guard in Jason Kidd, another player-friendly coach. So
another rumor, yeah, Jason Kidd is available right now. I think he's an assistant with the Lakers, isn't he?
Yeah, basically that was Magic Johnson. Since they saying Jason Kidd will be an assistant coach, whether Frank Vogel wanted him or not, but which is
that was part of the deal for Frank Vogel to sign.
Yes. Which usually a head coach has the ability to put together his own staff. So that was unique in that case. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's, they're trying. I think they're going to do something splashy, but we'll see.
Which I'll probably do a Twitter poll soon. Who should the Knicks pick as coach? I'm going to put Mark Jackson and also Kidd. And I need two more choices, but I'll definitely we'll definitely come up with it before.
Yeah, they've interviewed some, I think some more under the radar practical coaches, who will probably be good, i.e., a Frank Vogel, who's doing a fantastic job with the Lakers, who I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know.
Avery Johnson,
even a Mike Brown, Santiago, kind of an underrated coach.
He's available. That's right. He's available. I mean, there's the coaches out there that need a second chance. I like Mark Jackson, though. I really like that vibe, but I don't know how blacklisted is he. What Andre Iguodala said last year during his book, but we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know, Santiago. We'll see. But yeah, I'm definitely. We all need the Knicks to be relevant again, Santiago.
We need to. Nice. Yeah, and they got a big budget, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if whatever happens in the NBA restart, we don't know. But what is going to be the most exciting 2 weeks is the short little stint right after the season. You got the NBA draft, free agency starts right away. It's going to be awesome, Santiago. I think the NBA free agency is one of the most exciting times in sports.
It is pretty exciting, maybe a little bit more than the NFL, but NFL kind of drags it out for weeks.
The NFL, because you got a little. Team players aren't typically always free agents because you do have the you can franchise tag players where you don't have that in the NBA, so and players just have so much power in the NBA, more compared to the NFL. So, players can kind of dictate even under contract where they can go and where they don't go, which could kind of lead into, Mr. Jamal Adams of the NFL, though. You're kind of dictating where he wants to go.
Yes, we'll get there soon. Avery Johnson not playing, J.R. Smith with the Lakers. Is that something Lakers are going to miss Avery? Or
Avery Bradley, not Avery Johnson.
Avery Bradley, yes. Quick thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Avery Bradley
30 seconds.
Avery Bradley was a key player, not necessarily of his staff, but he's one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA. You can take on the other team's best scorers when you talk about the defending, what I think is the second best team in the Western Conference, the Clippers, when they're playing a full set. You're definitely going to miss him. J.R. Smith, which is a nice player, to pick up at this type
but
of.
He hasn't played in a year. But he's probably
doing
better with
injuries
year,
and at his best, he's not dependable. But when he is on his
LeBron
best,
likes him.
Yeah. And what we learned about J.R. Smith the last couple of years, don't mess with his car.
Exactly. That's something we'll definitely look at. But, of course, the NBA season.
But, another, while we're on the talk of the NBA, I think there's this kind of fear coming over yesterday afternoon, who's going to opt out and not playing. And basically, you only have 3 players opting out of the restart, which is kind of good news for the NBA. A couple weeks ago, we had, with that big phone
There's
call with
still time.
Kyrie and the players. Oh, they had to say it by yesterday, Santiago, if they're going to play.
Okay. Well, that's not bad.
So basically, if you're telling me you're not playing now, then you could face consequences. If you let him know by yesterday, it was basically, obviously you don't get paid, but you're not going to face any consequences from your team, and you're still in the good graces of the NBA. But after yesterday, you could face a fine by not showing up for your team. So
you could ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences. Brooks
So
Koepka, the number 4 ranked golfer in the world, is pulling out of the Travelers Championship after his caddy tested positive for coronavirus. Brooks, one of the greatest golf players in the world, number 4. Is that too, was that like too brief of a decision? Do you think he could just got another caddy, or do you think he really needs that caddy?
I think it has to do with just being close. I think he's out of respect to the other golfers. It just makes sense, because if he's close, he's been with his caddy a lot, and his caddy tested positive, that there's a good chance, that he's, carrying it, or, could carry it to somebody else. So I think that's why you see a lot of people, Webb Simpson, who won the tournament last week, his caddy was diagnosed, and then so he pulled out. So I think you had 7 golfers pull out of this week's tournament. So I think they were almost at the point of canceling it last week, but yesterday, sorry. But the commissioner of the PGA said, we're going to go on. Everybody, if you're in the bubble, they were kind of lenient on the rules, I think, that they came up with the PGA, but now, there'll be stiffer consequences for people who break the social distancing rules while competing in the tournaments.
Maybe they should pull like the match where they did a few, probably, it was a month ago with Tom Brady, just have the golf players carry their own equipment. Anyways, let's go into the Jets. New York Jets head coach Adam Gase is reportedly a major factor in Jamal Adams' displeasure. Never a dull day in the life of a New York Jets fan. Of course, Jamal Adams is requesting a trade. Do you think Gase is the issue, or do you think this is just hype?
No, I think Gase. I think Gase is a good coach, but he's not a player's coach, Santiago.
He's kind of awkward, isn't he?
He is awkward. He's got those weird eye stares that kind of made him trending a couple years ago. But yeah, I don't know. I think he isn't that guy, that player-friendly coach that players like to necessarily play for. But doesn't mean he's a bad coach. He's probably not a Les Miles that Jamal Adams played for in college, but I don't know if that's a big deal. I don't know if it's just Jamal Adams seeing that.
But will the Jets let him go that easy?
If he doesn't want to play it, he's one of the premier players in the NFL right now at his position. So, you could get good value from it. You won't get the value that you got. You're not going to get a number 3 pick, what you picked him at, but you're going to be able to at least get a first round pick for him in the future, or a starter right away from another team. Because I think we talked about this last week. Santiago, he's on a rookie contract still. He doesn't make very much money, and he's saying wherever he goes, he's not going to demand an extension, which a lot of players want to get traded is because they don't like the contract they're playing for, and they demand that the new team already give them a new deal when they get traded to, which he isn't. So that's why you circle the Dallas Cowboys, which he's kind of mentioned, because we said that last week. That team is loaded salary cap wise for the future, and you bring in a cap-friendly guy like Jamal Adams. That window is not big, but they're definitely a Super Bowl contender if you bring in a player like him to the team, because he is one of the best. Yeah, or the Steelers. They stole Micah Fitzpatrick last year from the Dolphins. And ended up having a Pro Bowl year. You bring in another safety like that, and that's going to turn into one of the best secondaries in football for sure. Basically, I don't know how bad it is in the Jets locker room, but it doesn't sound good, Santiago. And because you got other, tough players, a coach like Le'Veon Bell in that roster on the other side of the ball. So it's not a good situation for Adam Gase. And I think Jamal Adams basically say, I want to go and play for a winner, basically.
Never a dull moment in the New York Jets organization. Big news today. Pretty sad, bittersweet. Vince Carter retires after 22 seasons. he announced today at the Winging It podcast, and he said, I'm officially done playing basketball professionally. The day has come, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, Vinsanity, what a career, you know. I mean, you watch him play last year at 40 years old plus. I don't know, was it 41, 42? I don't know what it was, but yeah, obviously wasn't playing at a high level, but he still was playing pretty decent for his age. And, the during his prime, no one could jump like him, his ability to score, he kind of took that, early years, took the Raptors on his back and, single-handedly got him to the playoffs each and every year, kind of always that guy who could make a difference in the organization. Maybe not a top 10 player, not a Kevin Durant, not a LeBron James, but, a consistent career who is never really hit rock bottom age-wise. He just kept on, ticking.
He was battered with a lot of injuries. That was his issue.
Yes. But, he stepped
especially
up
with
going
Orlando.
playing, and I think, he's, especially later in his career, he didn't demand to go to a championship team. He went to a team like the Hawks last year who had absolutely no chance to win. And he loved his role of being able to train the Trae Young, being that professional in the locker room.
Which might be a secret to prolong your career, go to bad teams.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe it would be nice if he got released from the Hawks so he can join one of these teams out here in the playoffs.
That's true. Maybe like the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, so
I guess win a chip before he goes.
Here, it's gonna be. I think while we're right back before the end finished up, we'll go to the NBA. Again, it'd be interesting this week to see what players get signed. Which players are Jamal Crawford. We just saw Corey Brewer sign with the Kings. Which one of these veteran players that haven't played this year fill up these roster spots now that the teams can expand, their roster. So what way is it, either going to fill the roster? Because, again, you have to be prepared for positive tests in your camp. So, and if you lose a player for 2 weeks, the game's still going to continue, and that's kind of what they're going for. So.
The best of luck to Vince Carter. My words is he always will be remembered as a Toronto Raptor legend. Poll question of the day. How do you have your catfish? Fried, baked, crispy baked, or Louisiana Cajun baked?
Well, I've never had catfish in my life, Santiago. I'm not a fish person, but yeah, I kind of like that last one, Cajun baked. So if I had to choose my chicken, that's how I'd like it.
Fried is winning at 66%. Baked and Cajun baked is tied for 60.7%, and crispy baked at 0%. Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Lucky Charms?
Oh, Lucky Charms, but I wouldn't turn down Cinnamon Toast Crunch though either. Another solid cereal.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is winning at 84%. Lucky Charms at 15.4%. Of course, I'm not surprised. I will pick Cinnamon Toast Crunch, the greatest cereal of all time. Predictions for today: Chelsea versus Man City. If Chelsea wins or ties this game, Liverpool wins the league. Premier League championship.
Let's go Chelsea. I think, it'll be good. I guess they're both good teams, but obviously, that it wasn't very exciting in this restart of EPL because Liverpool is so far above everybody else.
Yeah, they were just like a couple of games away. I mean, we're like 2 literally right now.
Yeah, like I said,
give us a score.
2-0 Chelsea.
Wow, that's a lot, by the way. Everyone's saying because Man City's looking good still. So, but yeah, you're right. I think how Liverpool, it was kind of like it was a weird restart because we know the winner, but I guess we'll find out who will be the.
I mean, what you're really playing for, who's advancing in Champions League, who gets relegated. So that's basically we already know who is going to be the champion. But.
And lastly, it has been determined about a few minutes ago that New Zealand and Australia will be hosting the Women's World Cup 2023. Colombia came in and was a bidder host, but they came in second. So New Zealand and Australia will be hosting the World Cup in 2023, which raises the chances for USA to host it in 2027.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be good we'll start 2023. I think choosing those teams, the continent, down there, Australia, New Zealand is good because I think they play a good brand of women's football down there. They're good teams. So, and I think they have good fans down there. But yes, that's good to get the Women's World Cup back in the United States. Obviously, I think we have the best facilities and the best. We'll get good viewership, So in our game,
they could always look at the Rochester stadiums. I know they're at tip-top shape. Ryan, Christa, what is the best way to reach you to talk to you about cereal?
That's a Mad Dog Report 18 on Twitter. But so we'll see what happens here. Next time we talk, we'll see where we are in the NBA, where we are in college football. So unnerving times, but we'll see what happens. So
there's late breaking news. Mavs have interests, like Dallas Mavericks have interest in signing point guard Trey Burke before NBA's restart. Quick thoughts about that.
Yeah, definitely. They lost Jalen Brunson, their backup point guard. So bring in, like I said, which of these there's a bunch of players who haven't played this year or free agents or, been cut who are going to fill up these roster spots and, the expanded roster spots for the playoffs. And Trey Burke, NBA veteran, played for the Mavericks a couple.
You got your blessing.
Played for the Mavericks. Yeah. Got my blessing. Yes. Played for them a couple years ago. But he was actually involved in the Porzingis trade. But, so he ended up back in New York last year and was released before the season started.
And of course, you can follow all those news at thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net, and on Twitter at thesportscast1. We'll be posting a poll soon, either today or tomorrow, about who should be the next coach. I say Mark Jackson. Ryan says Jason Kidd. But hey, anything's good enough for the Knicks. Ryan, Christa, always a pleasure.
Santiago, is good to be on. And
what's the best way to reach you? I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
Mad Dog Report. I already asked that question.
Yes. It's all good. It's all good, Santiago.
Another Sportscast day. NBA, MLB, a lot of sports are scrunched in because of the coronavirus. Thank you very much.